welcome in, children. You're on RedRaiders.com if you haven't figured that out by now. I'm Zach. This is Krista. We call this program Know Your Enemy, and unless you've been living under a rock, you can probably guess we're going to talk about the Arkansas Razorbacks. Of course, they play Texas Tech. 2:30 Saturday at Jones AT&T Stadium, the old nationally televised game. And Krista, it's kind of hard to believe that Arkansas was 3-9 a year ago. They've improved massively, or at least it seems like they've improved massively through 2 games of this season.
They have. They hung in with Auburn in their first game of the season, and last week they blew Nicholls State out of the water. Yeah, I know it's Nicholls State, but you can collapse against an FCS team. Hello,
really?
Central Arkansas. So that was impressive, and it's going to be interesting to see how things turn out on Saturday.
All right, today we're going to go through a little format here. We're going to go what makes Arkansas dangerous. We've broken this into 3 categories. Krista, let's start with number 1 here, and I have a feeling I know what you're going to talk about.
They're going to own the clock on Saturday. That's what I think. They have a very strong run game. They have 2 backs, Alex Collins and Jonathan Williams, both averaging 99 and 88 yards per game. That's solid. They find the hole. They go. They're your typical SEC back.
Right.
However, what makes them so good is the offensive line. The Arkansas offensive line, they average 6'6", 321 pounds.
That's some big boys.
Yeah, they're huge. The Tech defensive line averages 6'4", 268. So my perspective on this game is that Arkansas's O-line is going to push Tech off the line of scrimmage. From what I saw in the Nicholls State game, they kept going to the second level, which opened up the field even more for those running backs.
And I think that's why you saw Matt Wallerstadt and company rotating so many people against UTEP on Saturday. They're really trying to make sure they have depth and stamina to face that big Arkansas offensive line. Now, not to be forgotten in this Arkansas offense, Krista, is their quarterback.
Absolutely, Brandon Allen. He was a little shaky in last year's 3-9 season. He completed only 49% of his passes. So far this year, he's completed 61%. He's 11th in the nation in passing efficiency, and he has plenty of options at wide receiver. So if Tech's young secondary isn't careful, they're going to get beat over the top and quickly.
And that's something you always worry about because they talked about that Monday in the press conference. You stack the box with 8-9 people, you're going to leave those kids on an island and they're going to have to grow up in a hurry. And so far they've done pretty well. Justice Nelson was a kid that played a lot last year. Saturday they will get poked at a few times. You can see that coming. Over on the defensive side, there's a name they're going to have to keep an eye on.
Trey Flowers.
Yep.
Watch out for that defensive end. He's got 10 tackles and 1 tackle for loss already this season. What's interesting, though, is that Texas Tech has not given up a sack so far this season. I think that's going to change on Saturday because Arkansas has a solid pass rush interior unit with Taewon Johnson and Darius Philon. Now, Johnson leads the SEC in sacks with 3.5, so they're really going to have to watch out for him. I'm going to be interested to see if Tech can get a run game going, but also how much time Davis Webb has to get a pass off.
Yeah, it's going to be by far the biggest challenge Texas Tech has had, but you also have to remember, like we said, Arkansas was 3-9 last year. They are susceptible to having problems. This isn't an insurmountable mountain for Texas Tech, even though we've kind of made it seem like that a few times this week on camera. What does Texas Tech have to do in this football game to maybe get out of there with a win?
They've got to start fast, something they have not done in the first 2 games, which is what we saw a lot last year.
Right.
So they have to get back to their old habits and start fast because if they don't, they're going to struggle to score when Arkansas controls the clock for most of the game. And
this is going to be a neat environment. This is an old Southwestern Conference rivalry. I think a lot of people who've been around the Tech program for a number of years, this is an exciting moment for them. If you can get that crowd behind that football team early and often, you're going to make that vicious environment that Jones AT&T Stadium is known to create. And you know what? Texas Tech could easily win this football game. They just have to eliminate the mistakes and do the things that they know they're capable of.
Absolutely. The penalties have got to calm down. They've got to be disciplined on that, and the turnovers. They've got to win that turnover battle. That's going to be key. Should be a fun one on Saturday from Jones AT&T Stadium as Texas Tech takes on an SEC opponent in the Arkansas Razorbacks. For now, though, that is Know Your Enemy. That is Krista. I'm Zach, and you're on RedRaiders.com.